Hello friends, and welcome back to another video. Now, I remember when I first moved out on my own, and I was shocked by how much living on your own costs. And I thought, you know what, I need to save as much money as I possibly can. And because I did the video on discounts that you can get whilst living alone, and people love that video, I thought I would give you some frugal hacks that are perfect, especially for people who are living alone, but can be applied to everyone actually. But before we get started on this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button. And of course, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe and join our community. We are all about sharing our experiences on our journey to financial freedom, and that involves how we can live frugally and save money, and of course make money in the process as well. So if you're interested in that type of content, you know exactly what to do. So my first tip would be living in and working in the same community. Now, for a lot of us, we live in one neighborhood and commute our way into work, and that has costs associated with it. So I'm talking about transport, and I'm talking about things like food and so forth, because you have to consider your entire day before you leave the house. But if you work and live in the same neighborhood, then you are more than likely to cut out, for example, transportation costs and save you some money. So what you will want to do is do the calculations and find out whether or not it's cheaper to work and live in the city or to work and live outside the city. Now, this calculation might be a lot easier because now, given lockdown and the way the world has turned out in 2020, you may find that actually you don't need to take into consideration your transportation costs because you don't need to travel to the office as often as you would. So consider living and working in a neighborhood that is cheaper and easier for you. So, is it necessary to live 10 steps away from the office in the city center and pay a higher rate? So that's something to consider, and whether or not you're willing to travel a little bit further out and work from home and maybe just commute one day a week. So those are things to consider. The second thing you want to consider is whether or not you really need all those bedrooms in the space that you are going to be living in. So I know it can be really easy to think, you know what, I'm gonna need 2 bedrooms because I need a guest room for when people come over. I have somewhere they can sleep. But the reality you need to think about is, how often do you really have guests round, and how often of those guests who come around stay over? So maybe it might be cheaper to just get 1 bedroom. And if you want to be extra frugal and save money, consider getting a studio apartment and just having your living space a lot smaller with cheaper costs, and that way you can save some money. The third thing I would say is consider the space that you are living in, whether you want to reside in a building with additional amenities. Now, that might include an additional charge that could be £100 or £200 more for amenities like a gym, a pool, a sauna, anything additional like that. But if you work it out, it might actually work out cheaper than having separate membership to different companies and organizations. And that way you get to meet your neighbors and make new friends, because everyone in that building will be using those facilities. And that way you can create more friends and save money. Another thing you could do is ditch your car. Now, this is a lot easier because if you are living and working in the same neighborhood, you don't necessarily need to have a car other than for your leisure activities. Running a car has its own expenses and its own costs, and you have to consider, in the light of the climate that we are living in, whether or not you will be commuting as much as you anticipate for the next year or so. So I know for a lot of people, their car insurers have come back and told them, if you commute less than you specify because of the climate we're living in, we are more than happy to give you a discount. But if you find that you yourself don't end up commuting or using your car at all, why take on the additional costs associated with it? Why not ditch the car, pick up a bike, and then just use that to commute wherever you need to? And of course, you can always just walk instead. So consider that if you are thinking about where you are going to be living. Another thing you need to do is always buy in bulk. So a lot of people think about bulk buying being, for your large family of 6, a large family of 7, and just buying a lot of stuff because you've got a lot of mouths to feed. But the reality is bulk buying can be cost effective even as a single person. Now, this is a rule that I have implemented in my life because I found it to be significantly cheaper and saves me money. And to be honest, saves me the amount of time I have to go to the supermarket. So what I like like to do is, if I find family packs of meat or whatever it is that I need to buy, I buy them in bulk and I buy multiple packs, and I come home and I separate them into individual portions, and that way it makes life a lot easier. And all I have to do is go to the supermarket regularly to purchase fresh fruit and vegetables or any fresh ingredients that I run out if and when, instead of always going to the supermarket and buying the same thing over and over again. So one example that I will give you is, instead of buying chicken at the supermarket, I like to now buy chicken from the wholesalers, and then when I come home I separate them and of course spice them as needed. And when I've done that, I put them in the freezer and I lay them out, and I don't have to think about chicken for a long time, and that has really helped me. I do that with other meats and other things as well. So it just depends on your diet and what you think about, but that is one option that could save you not only money but time as well. The next thing that you need to do is sign up for all the discounts you can get. So I'm talking about making sure you use cashback apps, you use all those things, but also in addition, I did an entire video that showed you the types of discounts and savings that you can make if you are living on your own. I'm talking about your utilities, I'm talking about your bills, I'm talking about anything that you have a fixed cost attached to it. You can get a discount if you are living alone. So always make sure to check that out. I won't go into detail in this video because there's a whole video dedicated to it, which I will link up here, so please check that out. But make sure you are getting as many discounts as you can because it's available to you, and why would you not get a discount and keep more of your money, right? And then finally, the last thing that I will say that is super important is to always have a budget and stick to it. Now on this channel, we talk a lot about how it's important to have a budget that is set within your means, taking into account how much money is coming in, always being aware of how much of your expenses are going out, always trying to find ways to cut down expenses and improve the amount you are saving and investing. So the optimal thing is to always make sure you are checking your budget as regularly as possible. You are always tracking your expenses and making sure you are taking effective steps to reduce the amount you are spending and increase the amount you are saving and investing. Because the last thing you want to do is to be wasting a year or a specified amount of time and not reaping the benefits that you should be from the money that you are working so hard for. So always make sure that that is something that you are doing. And whilst you are single, you can save so much more than somebody who has family commitments. So always take into consideration and always have that at the forefront of your mind, to have a budget and to have savings and investments as a key priority that you are doing, because trust me, when the kids come, it becomes that bit harder to save. So whilst you are single, do everything that you can to live a frugal life and save money and invest it so that by the time the kids come around, you have already got money that you are generating and you are already well versed in the art of saving. Anyway, those are just a few tips that I would do to live more frugally as a single person. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Please make sure to check out these videos, which will show you exactly what I'm doing in terms of living frugally and saving money. And until the next video, thank you so much for all your support. Take care. Bye. Mwah.